This is going to be a session on Mars, and I kind of laid out a couple of little charts, and I'm going to describe things. There's a lot of concepts when it comes to Mars, and some people may not even think about. Mars is what makes somebody push a little bit. They try to succeed, and it's known as power. And because Mars is also power, it also creates endings. The nine numbers are Mars, and nine has to do with endings and completion. So we're going to go into a couple of concepts. I'll give you some things about the hands and numbers and times of the month and some propensities that I felt were not covered by other people who have dwelled on the subject. They've done very well, but some of these things they haven't done, so I'll do them. Now, here's a little chart, and there's a line that backs up the regular lifeline, and it's called a Mars line. It's like an extra line of protection. And what happens is if there's a breach in a lifeline and a person has an inner lifeline, which is the Mars line, a lot of times it protects them. And if you find a line in Venus, it also shows, and this is in the same area but not exactly connected, it shows that somebody's in a life for a period. And Hindu palmists trace these lines and see how long somebody influences a life. This is what they call upper Mars. And I'll try to give you this concept here. Upper Mars has to do with what I call a Martian headline. It's interwoven. This is your lifeline, this is your headline, and it's kind of interwoven. And it has a lot to do with someone who has a rough start in life. And the idea is that Mars gives the person a fighting spirit and a spirit to overcome things. Another thing you want to find out with a Martian headline is it straight, is it very practical, or is it sloping headline, which makes the person more of a creative person. That's a person they may wind up on a stage or doing something that way. They might show their power from the things that they do. If the headline starts going up and overtaking the heart line, that's been seen in even criminals, that tendency where the heart line, the headline takes over the heart line. Now, this area right here, the Martian headline, and then you have the plane of Mars. A lot of times the fate line starts in the plane of Mars with some people, and they have a rough struggle in life, a rough start, but by their own sheer willpower, determination, they tend to succeed. And then you have what they call mid-Mars, which is between the headline and the heart line. And it's considered a period of time where a person will combat life to succeed. And there's upper Mars as well, which is like between the two, but almost to the percussion side of the hand. All of these are little factors and points that I think some people haven't really covered as well or as complete, but everybody does different things. So you have the plane of Mars, you have upper Mars, you have lower Mars, you have the double lifeline, and lower Mars is right here. It's almost like in the headline, lifeline area, but in a very small upper area, and that's why the Martian headline starts from that area. And here's a good example of a Martian headline. It's like interwoven, and sometimes it starts off as chained, which means the person had a rough go in the beginning of life, and then he overcame things, which is Martian. Now, the Mars numbers are people born on the 9th, 18th, or 27th day of any month. It relates to Aries in its positive aspect, people born in either late March or in April at any time. And these people are more direct. This is considered a direct Mars, which people born in the period of Aries or in late March tend to be very direct at things. A lot of times they're overly aggressive in some way, whether mentally or physically, or their actions or behavior. And then the next one is the end of October through November, which is usually the sign of Scorpio or late Libra, whatever. And that's negative Mars, which is like October 19th through November 27th approximately. Well, with positive Mars, which is the end of March to April, they tend to get fevers, blood disease, headaches, teeth problems, fits, epilepsy, and vertigo. In other words, they can be plagued by any one or more of these things in their life. And in the negative Mars, which is the end of October through November, the Scorpio era, they could have kidney, bladder problems, stomach, and digestive disorders. So these are the tendencies. But the negative Mars, that's negative, remember, doesn't mean bad. It means that when you look at the Mars different mounts, they would be deflated as opposed to inflated, or they'd be very soft, or just you wouldn't see any lumps or bumps to indicate a thick mount. So negative doesn't mean bad necessarily. However, if somebody is born in the period of Scorpio on the 9th, 18th, or 27th, and you saw that they had a straight headline and it was overtaking the heart line, that person could be very sneaky. A lot of times the Mars people are known to be a little mentally devious, unless they're highly evolved. So where the star is the Mars zone that causes the Martian headline. And again, it's on that hand. And I'm trying to show this too. The interwoven bit would be a Martian headline, but in this case it would be sloping. And this little thickness shows there the area of Mars, because these are zones on the hand, and sometimes, you have the Venus mount, you have the quadrangle, which I explained is between the headline and heart line, and you have the plane of Mars, which is coming up like with the fate line, and the plane of Mars is considered the area where people are like fighting life in order to get ahead. So it's an interesting concept. And don't forget, Mars is the 9th cycle, 9, 18, 27th of the month. And people in that cycle, under those influences, have to learn to let things go. They won't be able to hold on to things. They have to be able to let people, places, and activities go in their life. They have to learn this.